Y'all can hear me okay? Different audio setup. Well, welcome everybody to our Wednesday, July 26th meeting of the San Antonio Public Library Board of Trustees. We're proud to be at the Parman Branch Library. Thank you everyone for making their way out here. For those of you that might have had to come a little bit further, we will begin our meeting by having a roll call. Nicholas, if you could help us with that.
Today is July 26, 2023. The time is 4:42 p.m. and those in attendance are Jean Brady.
Jean, can you hear?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I'm here.
Joanne Harris.
Present.
Josie Martinez.
Present.
Andrea Sanchez Muniz is absent. Norma Montalvo is absent.
Norma did text me that she is on her way, just in traffic.
Okay. Fernanda Cardenas is absent. Jasprit Kaur is absent. Marcy Ince.
Present.
Beth Graham.
Here.
Judy Cruz.
Here.
And Paul Stahl.
Here.
Chairperson Stahl, we have a quorum.
Great, thank you very much. Like I said, we will be having at least one board member join us here shortly, which he arrives. We'll take a few moments, as is customary, to gather our thoughts and have a few moments of silence before we begin our meeting today. Thank you very much. Move on to our first item, which is approval of the minutes. And those were already passed out to us. We can entertain a motion, and then entertain any questions if necessary.
I move that we accept.
I'll second.
We have a first from Josie and a second from Marcy. Thank y'all. Any discussion on the minutes? Very good. Okay. So we'll take a roll call vote on adoption of the minutes. Nicholas, if you could lead us through that, please.
Jean Brady.
Aye.
Joanne Harris.
Aye.
Josie Martinez.
Aye.
Andrea Sanchez Muniz is absent. Norma Montalvo is absent. Fernanda Cardenas is absent. Jasprit Kaur is absent. Marcy Ince. Beth Graham.
Aye.
Judy Cruz.
Aye.
Paul Stahl.
Aye.
The motion passes.
Thank you, Nicholas. Move on to the next item, which is public comments. I believe we have something here. Nicholas?
Meredith Summers, 130 Osprey Haven. Comment. Well, I just had to share my experience attending the library events at the Petrenko Branch Library over the summer. You see, I'm a military wife and new to San Antonio. Can't believe it's been 3 months already, but let me tell you, it's been a blast. The kiddos and I had so much fun at those events. The Lego time and kids' activities are always so much fun. We even had a chance to see live animals once, even though it was crowded. We couldn't stop smiling. Librarian Lisa is amazing, but the absolute best time we had was at an art event they hosted. It was fantastic. They had break dancers, some amazing interactive spray paint art, and get this, my kids got to see their first rap concert performed by a talented female artist. My daughter's now all about hip hop, and I couldn't be happier. San Antonio Public Library, y'all sure know how to keep us entertained. Can't wait to see what the fall has in store. Keep up the great work.
Thank you, Nicholas. Great comments. It's so nice when citizens take time out to tell us what they think. Sometimes constructive criticism, sometimes great. So this is nice to see that. Thank you very much for reading that, Nicholas. We'll move on to the next item, item number 2, report from the library board chair. So welcome. A reminder that today's meeting is being live streamed via YouTube. Another reminder to complete your Municipal Leadership Institute training. Jessica's not here today, but if you have questions on that, let her know via email or let somebody know here today. And we do have until August 31st to complete that training. Library staff is going to be distributing certificates of those courses that we've completed. Beth, it looks like you completed all the required courses. And Edward will be emailing us trustees of the courses that have not been completed. Edward, when will that email be going out? Tomorrow or Friday. So that, he said tomorrow or Friday. So thank you for that reminder, Edward. Beth, how were they?
Very helpful, and the tests are pretty easy if you pay attention.
Okay, so those of you who still have those remaining, you'll get an email from Edward here shortly, so you know what's left to do. And of course, with any questions, staff can help lead you through, how to do it. Item number 3, reports from the trustees regarding any library-related activities. I'll start, Marcy, if you don't mind. Is that okay?
Yes.
You can always pass,
I attended a very interesting Friends meeting. I don't think I've ever seen such enthusiasm. I don't know if that's the right word, but it was quite interesting. And there was very robust discussion after the meeting.
Can everybody hear Marcy?
No.
Go ahead and move it closer and speak into the microphone there.
Okay. No, it's just that I was saying I went to a very kind of a feisty Friends meeting for those who were there. And it continued after the meeting, and it was quite interesting to get how people felt. So I think we'll be hearing more about that. And I think, I can't think of anything else I've done. It might remind me of things as people are going through.
Thanks, Marcy.
Just a reminder, if you can get the mic closer to you.
Yeah, and I guess if it's too close, we'll tell you to back off. Josie?
I too was at the SAPL meeting, and I just want to give the greatest kudos to Jessica because she really helped us to navigate through all the questions and discussions, and she made it a safe environment for that thought exchange. She was just really an excellent facilitator. At Mission Library, Andrew Crew from Texana and Genealogy came by. He provided so many great ideas for those of us that are looking into studying ancestry, gave us lots of resources, and reminded us that while Texana is undergoing renovations, the staff is available for us Tuesdays through Sunday, and they're there to help. And I can hardly wait to get over to Andrew so we can continue our discussions on genealogy. I was at a commander's house today, one of the community facilities, and I ran into Crescencia Huff, and she was there doing some talks and letting folks know about the services we provide here. So that was wonderful to run into her, and knowing that staff are going to community centers, senior centers, and letting the folks know about these great resources we have at SAPL. And lastly, I was at Pan American Library, and the master gardeners were there and offered some really, really wonderful tips on how to maneuver your gardening through these hot weather days and preparing for the coolness of fall when that comes. I even got a wonderful Persian shield, gorgeous leaves with purple, and it was great. It was a wonderful experience, and it continues that inter-organizational activities that SAPL's so involved with in making sure that we're reaching out and utilizing other organizations in our libraries.
Pay a lot of attention to partnerships.
Yes, important.
Great.
We do
Norma, I'm going to come back around to you. It's time to settle. Beth?
I attended the Public Relations and Community Relations and Advocacy meeting last week, and
really appreciated the updates that we got from Scott and Jessica, especially letting us know what was going on with social media and the approach that the library and the city are taking to the issues with Twitter, now X, and Thread. And I have contacted the District 10 Council Office to try to set up a meeting to reintroduce myself to Councilman White and talk about library issues, but I have not yet been able to set a date.
Great. Thank you, Beth. Judy, should you even be here today?
What do you mean?
Is it your...
Oh, I know. Well, part of being married is understanding that you have upper command.
Judy is here even though it's her wedding anniversary. Her wedding anniversary.
Believe me, I won't hear the end of it,
So-
but yes, congratulations.
And you must have been married a long time since you're here and not
Exactly.
somewhere else.
I completely appreciate this, so, yeah, I won't hear the end of it.
Well, thank you for being here.
Yes, so to echo the sentiments of that comment, you know, I've heard so many comments through the community, my friends, my family, I've gone to so many events. I'm assuming Summer at SAPL has done really well because I've heard a lot, and I've heard a lot of social media posts. I've seen a lot of social media posts. We were able to go to the Mission Library this week and catch one of the last few sessions with the Witty. It was Pollinating Texas, and so it was really good, well attended. The kids were hilarious, believe me. And so my boys learned a lot, but there was ages from like 3 to, you know, middle school, and just the questions they were giving and the comments were so cute and so fun. And then we got to visit the little garden in the back of the Mission Library where, I mean, it's suffering with this heat, but we got to actually see pollination in action. So it was like you know, and someone's taking care of that garden because it's hanging on. So, and so just overall, just an amazing job with the activities at Summer at SAPL, because it's just been, I've heard and I've seen a lot of people go. I've been at the library with my kids numerous times. We have a bunch of books out that we're trying to finish before the summer ends, so that's what we've been doing
Great.
this summer.
Thank you for that. Jean, would you like to go next? Is there anything you'd like to report or share?
Well, I just want to say I learned a lot reading the director's report, and I'm so proud of the staff and all the things they're doing right now.
Great, thank you, Jean. Joanne, is there anything you wanted to share?
I'm here. I did go attend the Friends Board meeting, and it was very informative. It was very nice to see and hear different people's opinions and their, I guess you can call it enthusiasm about everything. And so it was very nice. And I also attended I went with the foundation when they went on the bus tour for the different libraries. We went and saw 3. I went to see 3 with them. And it was very informative. They were very busy. Plenty of children all around and adults. And so I was very impressed.
Great, I'm so glad you're able to make that, Joanne.
Oh, and I wanted to also that the Carver branch will be hosting, which is a community thing on health and wellness, where they will be doing immunizations and all of that type of thing on September the 23rd. And it's with CPS. And so they will be doing that at the Carver in September for the community.
Great. Thanks for making us aware of that, Joanne.
Mm-hmm.
And Norma, anything you'd like to share?
A couple of things. I've been passing by Las Palmas branch, and I'm liking, you know, the work. It's getting me excited. I'm certain the community is just excited. During the summer, well, June actually, I did summer school, and whatever notices, I would receive flyers of any events, as Judy was saying, at missions and various libraries. I would forward that or share that with my kiddos, and a couple of them did go. So, and they came back with the gaming nights. They really loved it. So just the excitement, and to know that our public libraries do offer this to the communities and to the kids during the summer or all year long. But that was really thrilling for me to hear.
Great. All right, thank you. Norma? And by the way, you only missed about 10 minutes of the meeting. We started a little bit late, so we got our,
Yeah, I was
I came in.
stressing. I really was.
Don't stress, we're all good. We're all good. Very good, we'll move on now to item number 4, report from the library director. Ramiro?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to acknowledge Mr. David McCary, who's our Assistant City Manager. He's here today. I only have one other acknowledgement. I want to acknowledge and thank the Friends of the Parman Branch Library for contributing to the refreshments that you all will be partaking and enjoying. That concludes my report. There is a written report. I'm happy to respond to any questions that you may have.
Any trustees have any questions on the report? They're getting thicker and thicker.
We're just excited that Brook Hollow is going to be opening soon. So,
It's a big deal.
real happy things.
It's just around the corner.
They are too.
Any other questions or comments for Ramiro? Okay. Moving on to item number 5, budget report for June 2023.
Hi, good afternoon. Y'all can hear me, right? Just want to make sure y'all can hear me. Good afternoon. If you'd like to turn to the green pages in your packet, I'm going to provide you with a brief overview of the operating budget for the library through the end of the third quarter of the fiscal year. As of the end of June, 75% of the fiscal year had elapsed, and we were at 74% spent, including encumbrances, or 72% without them. The category where we're slightly behind on spending is the capital outlay category. It takes a lot of coordination between groups and different people to get all of that together, but that will be addressed by the end of the fiscal year. Last thing I wanted to mention was the 2023 major gift section. We are around 56% spent on the annual gifts from the foundation and the Friends. That is a calendar year gift, so we do have a little bit more time to get those funds spent. And I would just like to say thank y'all for your continued support of the library system. So that's my report, but if y'all have any questions on anything in particular, I'm happy to take it now.
Great, thank you, Gabby. Any questions for Gabby? As you look through these numbers and look for any outliers or any questions, anything that you would like her to address or explain? Like why they're only at 74% when we're at 75% elapsed? I'm still amazed that with my new promotion, I'm much more entangled in the financials of the company, and I don't even know how you sleep at night.
Sometimes I don't.
Maybe you don't.
Especially when it comes to the very end of the fiscal year, but we manage.
Yeah. So
Great.
all the major items look like they're covered from my perspective. Does anybody have any questions? If not, we can move on. Okay.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much, Gabby. Moving on to item number 6, report from the Executive Committee. We met on July 18th to set this agenda, and that was all we did. Report from the Budget Committee, item 7. The Budget Committee did not meet this period, and this will go well. Report from the Facilities Committee, item 8. They also did not meet this period. And item number 9, a report from the Naming Committee. There's no items on that, so I know the Naming Committee did not meet. Judy, was there anything that you needed to say on that?
Yeah.
Okay. Report from the Public Relations Advocacy Committee. Jean?
I believe Scott didn't give the report.
Yep. He's standing up and walking up.
I wanted to wait till I was called. Thank you, Gene.
You have been summoned.
Good afternoon, trustees, library director. I just have a brief report for you today in Jessica's absence. The Public Relations and Advocacy Committee did meet on July 20th. Just last week, I have a short report of the proceedings of that meeting. Our first item was to discuss the fiscal year 2024 budget process for the city and the advocacy role that the board can play in it. You should have received 2 handouts along with your packet today. One is a colorful half sheet that looks like this, a little overview with English and Spanish that's provided by the city's Communications and Engagement Department. Because we didn't have all the dates on there, we also created just a second handout that shows you exactly all the dates. So what that shows you is the dates of the proposed scheduled town hall meetings that will be called by the city. These are, as you recall, the community's opportunity to give their feedback on the proposed schedule. The city manager will present his proposed schedule to City Council on August 10th, and then the meetings will commence starting on Monday, August 14th. There will be 2 that day. The District 3 meeting at Mission Library, that is the one meeting that's happening at a library location, and also the District 6 meeting will be happening at the Lopez Senior Center on Culebra Road. The second item for our meeting was on social media, and I'll just give a quick report on what we discussed. We talked a little about Twitter, or X, as it's come to be known since that meeting. What we talked about in the meeting last week was that Twitter is limiting the number of posts that accounts can view in any given day. We as the library and as people who use that platform to engage with our community are monitoring to see if that will have any impact on our engagement on Twitter or X. So far, our engagement has been relatively steady, but a downward trend would take some time to identify, and Twitter/X only made the change about a week and a half ago. So we'll continue to monitor our engagement on Twitter, which is our smallest platform as far as community engagement goes for social media. We'll continue to monitor and see if we're experiencing any kind of lack of engagement or downward trend in engagement on Twitter. And of course, as we've alluded to, Twitter changed its name to X starting this past Monday, so we're really just trying to keep up at this point. We also reported on Threads. You may be familiar with the new social media platform that was created by Meta, the parent company of Facebook and Instagram. Threads is a new microblogging platform that exists to compete with Twitter. We are monitoring how people are engaging on that platform, but we as the library and as an office of the city cannot start using the platform just yet. We are waiting on clearance from the office of the city attorney, who needs to verify the ability to archive the data used on that platform in the city's enterprise social media archiving platform, which is called Archive Social. So we're supposed to get, we being the communications team, will get an update on our ability to use Threads, start using Threads or not tomorrow from the Communications and Engagement Department. The good news is that our account, meaning our handle, our MySAPL handle on that platform is protected because it's tied to our Instagram account. So no one can go online and register an SAPL account and spoof the library on that platform. So when we are allowed access to the platform, we'll start up a strategy and we'll start engaging with people on there. Finally, we had one other item for discussion, and that was the discovery of a podcast that uses the San Antonio Public Library name without permission. It's called San Antonio Public Library Rocks. It's a satirical podcast by some folks in LA, and we've dug into it a little bit. A few of us have listened to the episodes, but right now what we're doing is collaborating with our city attorney's office to see what, if any, options exist related to the fact that they're using the SAPL name without permission. So we will keep you apprised of any updates related to that podcast. That concludes my report, but I'm happy to respond to any questions.
Marcy?
Do we have a blue check mark with Twitter? I mean, do we actually pay for that service?
We do not. We do not have a blue check mark, and we do not pay for a blue check mark on Twitter. So we are currently unverified on that platform, but we are verified on the other platforms on Instagram and Facebook.
Well, you know, I really like the fact that, you know, that we are reaching out because that's where the kids are. You know, they're on Twitter or X and in Threads and TikTok and, you know, and so I think it's important, and I'm glad to hear that you're engaging, you know, with these social media platforms, because I think that's where you're going to find a lot of people.
Thank you.
I think you ought to get a membership. I mean, I just think they're, okay, so they're like limiting how many posts you can see and this and that. But if we're trying to, sell something, our libraries and inform people, I have no problem if you want to get a member. I mean, they're like, what, $8 or $9 a month or something?
I think it's $12 a month, yeah.
$12 a month, I would have no problem, I'm not a fan, but, of X, but I think that's where our audience is, that's where we need to be focused. It's not cost that much.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate your comments, Marcy. I think that's something worthy of discussion, probably maybe on the PR committee, Gene. But yeah, I mean, if you're going to do it, and it's not a bad approach. I've actually thought that ought to have been done a long time ago, to have those smaller payments so you can make sure that some of the sites you're interacting with have some credibility to them, and whether you agree with that or not, that's kind of what's happening. That's the new normal for them. So.
If I may add,
Please.
we will also consult with our communications and engagement COSA team, see what's their position on it. So I thought they were discouraging departments from using Twitter, or X, but we'll look into it.
Yes, sir. We have a meeting tomorrow with that team, and I plan to bring it up at that point so we can explore what we should be doing on Twitter right now.
Any other questions? I actually had one on the town halls. We are engaging with partners. People will have T-shirts. If nothing else, my dad can show up. He loves his free library T-shirts. We were somewhere just over the weekend, and he had his "Don't Judge a Book by Its Cover" T-shirt, and I think like 4 people came up to him and talked to him just about that. But back to my question, right? Are we aligning with our?
The committee didn't discuss any advocacy details related to the budget town hall meetings, but we do plan to make resources available to the board now that we have the dates of the town halls, which came a week or 2 ago, to make sure that everyone has that information and can organize and do what you all need to do for those meetings. So we currently encourage participation there.
Okay.
Thank you, Paul.
Any other questions, Scott, before we move on? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Scott. You were released after being summoned. Item number 11, a report from the Ad Hoc Board Policy Committee. Gene, this is yours again. Are you summoning somebody, Gene, on this one?
Dale,
Yep. He's coming up.
Right, this report will be very brief. The committee met on June 13th. The policy their committee is looking at is meeting room and space rental. So it'll be coming to you at a later board meeting. There's no action item today.
I'm sorry, what were the things you mentioned? I didn't even hear.
Meeting room and space rental.
Gotcha.
So we're combining several different policies together.
Great. Thank you, Dale. Moving on to item number 12, a report from the Ad Hoc ILA Committee. So we did meet on the 18th and the 19th of July, and we'll be giving a full report in the executive session. Item number 13, a report from the Friends of the San Antonio Public Library. John? Hello?
Good afternoon, trustees. Well, yes, we did have I wouldn't say feisty, but certainly a spirited and passionate discussion at our most recent Friends Board meeting, at which time we were reviewing the recommendations made in the report concerning our future of the partnership. And it was a really good exchange, I think, as we had over 50 people in attendance at the meeting, and we heard from a variety of viewpoints and a variety of locations across our system. So as we let them know, this is just the beginning of the process. No decisions have been made, and despite rumors to the contrary. And so we are still in the gathering phase for finding out what the membership wants to do and how we can look at these recommendations and implement them. So that was great. It's been a busy month. I've been at meetings with Tobin and Landa, and thank you to Amy for including me on the Foundation's board building bus trip. It was great to see that and get out to places that I don't normally venture to. And we have decided that we will be having a strategic planning session. That was one of the recommendations made in the report, and this is something the Friends have never done. So we have a lot of things we need to accomplish at that time, so it's going to be a tight, packed agenda, and that will be in September on the 16th. And Rosemary Fry, who many of you may know from her work in the nonprofits here, and she's been on the foundation board, she will be facilitating that planning session. And so that's the Friends report. Any questions? Great.
Were you, so I mean, I appreciate that update. Did you feel though that the membership had adequate forum for asking questions and getting informed and maybe?
We did. In addition to having, it was about a 2-hour meeting so that everyone had an opportunity to speak. We did not limit anyone time-wise. And we also handed out a sheet that had all of the recommendations listed, so people, if they didn't want to publicly speak, they could provide their comments in a written form, and we could compile those to distribute to the rest of the board, so we can try to get some sort of direction from that. So, and we're still encouraging people to contact us, and in our next newsletter, we'll have more updates on the report and a follow-up from the board meeting. So really, as we said, this is not a fast process because there's serious recommendations, and so we want to make sure that we have really thoroughly investigated them and determined what are going to be the impact on the organization and on the library when we make changes. So I think everyone is feeling much better after the meeting. They, despite, handing things out for people to read, they don't read, nobody wants to. And it's also very difficult that was a very complicated report to wade through. So this allowed them the opportunity to actually hear things and not just have the chance to voice their opinion, but also to hear from the library and to get their take on the report, which that is very important for the Friends also.
Well, I appreciate you giving more context to that, and I mean, I for one am glad that we as a board took some action to give some more time for the Friends to digest as much as you can. Right, there's a lot to it. It's like eating an elephant, right? But hopefully that has helped the process. So
it definitely helped the process.
Okay. I appreciate you giving that extra comments on that. Any questions for John? Great. Okay. Thank you very much, John. Appreciate it. I threatened Amy with going first, and now you're 14th. Is that where you are? So item number 14.
I didn't all that time to gather all my props this time. I have a lot of visual aids. Okay, lot to report. First thing is our new website is almost done. This is a project that was started, I think, almost 5 years ago. And then when I came on board and Denise, who is our marketing director, came on board, she didn't like any of the drafts that we had, and so we sort of went back to the drawing board. So there's still a few tweaks that need to be made, but it's a whole new, fresh look. And so that is one thing. Everybody hopefully saw the Katrina Ball sponsor packet. If you didn't, I have some here with me. Also, please mark your calendars for May 5th of next year. We will be we're not doing a literary luncheon anymore, we're doing a literacy luncheon. We've decided, because there's so much confusion between us and the Book Fest, and last year we did this literary luncheon, brought in Chris Bojalian, he did such a great job. About 50% of the people that typically attended that event for us in the past had said, wait a minute, I already went to this event. You did it in May. And he said, no, that was the Book Fest. It wasn't us. It was so to avoid that, we're going to go with children's author focus. So we are bringing in the author and the illustrator of Dragons Love Tacos. So it's on May 5th, and likely will be at the Whitty Museum. So we hope that you will all join us for that, because we're very excited about that. But the thing that we're the most excited about, and that I have the most visual aids for, we are launching September 1st a community-wide reading awareness, book awareness, and also a donor acquisition campaign for us, but a community-wide campaign called Bookmark the Town. So for a very low price, so for $20, a $20 donation to the foundation, you can get a yard sign like this. That's so cute. And you can pick it up at one of 5 places. So we have 5 library branches that Ramiro and the team are going to work with us, or you can pick it up at the foundation offices on Shook. And what you do is you put this in your yard, and this is dry erase. So it says, I recommend, and so you write whatever your favorite book is or whatever you're reading. We're going to have book club challenges. It's going to be really fun. Now, this is an idea. I did not come up with this idea. I went to a conference, and the Charlotte Mecklenburg Library System did this in their community, and they got a huge amount of earned publicity, and the community really rallied around it. Well, but they didn't have a very cute logo. And I knew, because Denise is so talented, that we would end up with something much cuter, and we did. This is the skyline of San Antonio made out of books. And if you get a chance to look at it more closely, it'll be very impressive. But it's so cute that we also have tote bags that we had printed, and mugs that have a lime green on the inside and a handle, which are also super cute. So we're doing things like, for my book club, I'm buying a tote bag and a mug for each person, and then they're going to get their own signs. So we hope that as you walk through your neighborhoods, there are lots of signs. It's a very visual thing, so we think that the TV stations will be super interested in it, and also it'll get us a lot of visibility on social media. So we are super excited. We hope you'll all participate. These are just the prototypes. We don't have the full deliveries of everything yet. As I said, we're launching September 1st, but I will be giving things out to you guys ahead of time. But we hope that you'll encourage that in your neighborhoods, and I think it'll be a really great thing. Does anybody have any questions? The bags and the mugs are only $12 each, because we got a really good price on it. So this is not a fundraiser at all. We're pretty much just covering our costs on everything, but it's all about awareness and acquisition of new donors for us.
Great.
No questions?
That
Okay.
sounds exciting. Any questions for Amy?
And that kicks off September 1st?
September 1st, yeah. We just wanted to make sure we had all the information.
And you said which 5 libraries?
Oh,
Okay.
That is adorable.
This
That is
was
so
Harmon,
clever.
Trico, Schaefer, I guess we'll put on Central,
Okay.
and one more.
Really cool.
But we picked one sort of, we picked like compass points, so Central, and then one more, one far north, one west, one east.
Good to know. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great logo. Thank you very much, Amy. We'll move on to item number 15, which is a staff report from the Parman Branch Library.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I feel like I'm often up here at the branch meetings introducing the managers. It's one of my favorite things to do, and I've just been fortunate that y'all visited so many of the branches in my group. This branch, as you might know, has the manager Barbara Kwiatkowski, who's been here at the Parman Library for 6 years. Previously, she was assistant manager at Encino. She also spent time at IGO as a teen librarian. Altogether, she's been with the system since 2006. Before that, I was trying to remember. She ran one or multiple businesses out in California, and she had a career as a linguist in Europe where she's got multiple master's degrees. She was telling me one in comparative literature and one in linguistics. She's a very, very passionate library advocate, lives up here in the Stone Oak community, and it's always a pleasure to see what kind of fun and innovative stuff Barbara has to offer. I know tonight it's a little different because she's got a video that she's developed to share with y'all. So I'm gonna try this. Say, Vita me, Barbara, can you come up and say a few words and then share your video and with the board. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Barbara Kwiatkowski, and I do have an accent, I've heard, because I was, thank you, I'm short too. And yeah, this is a dream of mine, to work for the public library. My boss told you pretty much everything. And we made this short video. I will be available for any questions right after, or yeah, I'll be right here. So please enjoy. It's short, but it's a kind of summarize the character and the special flavor of Parman. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Barbara. That's a great video.
Thank you so much for watching, and do you guys have any questions? I'm available.
Any questions for Barbara?
Well, I just want to thank you for your programs. They're outstanding. And sometimes when I come to them, I literally get chills because I just see people so engaged in what's happening here. I know it's because of your leadership, and you seem to be able to pull these things off like nobody else I know. So thank you so much for all that you do for Parman. Yeah.
Thank you. And in this little envelope, I just have those incentive why we do this, those answers from the community, those little drawings from the, I don't want to waste your time, but drawings that children are giving us every day. We love your library. I know you've seen it probably a million times, but this is just adorable, and this motivates my staff. That's what we get, you know. We love your library. And then another one, thank you. We love to come for the story time with Miss Lisa and Miss Veronica. Then we have surveys after each program. We do the surveys, and we have the feeling if this is something which is expected, which we did good or not. And people are sharing with us the positive income. On the Google reviews, we have 4.7. You can look it up, and this motivates us because we are here for the community, and their feedback is what gives us the energy and ideas. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Yeah, I mean, the comment I have on that, you mentioned the feedback. I mean, it's a bilateral. It comes back and forth. I mean, the passion for you that you and your staff have for what you're doing, right? How you're trying to engage with the community. That's what's coming back to you. And then so there's this feedback loop that comes back and forth. I mean, the programming that you do is informed by the community. So the community comes to the programming, they love it, and they tell you more what they want, and then you listen more, and then it's just this two-way dialogue. And how woven into the community here that you are is what makes me so proud. I remember who else on here? Well, Gene on here remembers when we first dedicated this library and first conceived of it, and the walking trail and what we felt how that was going to draw the community to come and then also visit the library at the same time. I mean, that's happening on a regular basis. I see it out there even in the heat, So we're just so proud of the work that you do and the hard work of your staff to keep engaged with the community. I mean, it shows, and your numbers show, how well adopted this library is. So that just makes us all so happy. So thanks so much for all that you do, and make sure and pass that on to your staff.
Thank you,
as well.
and I will pass to my staff. Thank you.
Great. Thanks again, Barbara.
If I may, I also want to acknowledge Barbara's, she's an amazing leader and an amazing manager. I recall she started this program when she was at the John Nigo Branch Library, invited different members of the community, new immigrants, to come and share their culture, their food, their clothing, and talk about their lives as well. It was a wonderful event, so wonderful that we've copied it and brought it to the Central Library. We just offered it this past year, or the first year. We'd like for it to be an annual event downtown at the Central Library so we can invite the entire city. So I just want to give her credit for with that idea. Thank you for inviting me to attend. When I attended, I was so amazed to learn about all the different immigrants that have joined the community and that are part of the community that we serve. And it's a way to celebrate those cultures. So thank you, Barbara.
Barbara, could I ask, am I correct that you were a recipient of one of the librarian scholarships that we put together with the IMLS and the Library Foundation?
Yes, and I was I was encouraged. I had really great support from by the manager, the director as well. I was not sure if after moving to a new country, I will be able to do anything I love, which is inspire, teach, and talk about books and art and culture. And so, yes, I did this, and I did it in 1.5 years with average 4.0. So I hope you. And now I'm giving back. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you. I'd like to recognize that program, which has done so much for the, Barbara is one of the outstanding examples, and she's not the only one. It has done so much for the San Antonio Public Library.
That's true. Thank you.
Thanks for calling our attention to that, Beth. Okay. We will move on now to item number 16.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
library staff is requesting to postpone this item until the next meeting.
Okay.
I do want to report, I failed in the director's report to remind the library board that the library system will close next Friday, August 4th, for in-service for 4 hours from 10 to 2. The libraries will reopen at 2 o'clock. This is something that you approved as part of this year's initiatives to provide time for staff to engage in team building and staff development. So just a reminder to our board.
What were those hours of closure again?
From 10 to 2.
Right. Great. Okay. Thank you, Romero. So we'll come back to item 16 for the strategic plan. Moving on to item number 17, an appointment of a 3-person nominating committee to identify a slate of officers for chair, vice chair, secretary, and treasurer that will be elected during the September meeting, the September annual meeting. So I have, in the theme of not fixing what ain't broke, I have renominated Andrea Sanchez Muniz as chair. She has agreed to that. And Joanne Harris has agreed to sit on that committee, as well as Josie. So that is my 3-person nominating committee. And I will say that there was a few of you that I didn't get a chance to reach out to see if you were interested. So if anyone, at least at this meeting, or anybody remotely, I guess that would only be Jean, feels that they'd want to participate on that committee and wasn't asked by me, like I said, I apologize for that. Do feel free, certainly, to speak up. And I guess that would be really Judy or Beth or Marcy, if that's something that you felt passionately about that you wanted to participate on. I'd entertain y'all joining that, but y'all are actually pretty busy already.
To be,
But I already have spoken with Andrea to chair it. She's agreed to chair it. And since it's a 3-person committee, the second is Joanne Harris, and she has agreed that she would be willing to serve on that again, and the same with Josie.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm offering, if there's anybody that felt that they would have wanted to be included on that and wasn't asked by me, I'm almost halfway calling you out here that you're welcome to let me know that, so I can reconsider that before we vote on that nominating committee.
I think we're in good hands.
Okay? Great. Okay, so I would, I don't make the motion on this. I'm not usually making motions.
You can invite a motion for someone to make a motion.
I move that we accept the 3 nominees presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Thank you for that, Marcy. Thank you, Beth. And once again, the motion is for Andrea Sanchez Muniz to be the chair, Joanne Harris and Josie Martinez to be the second and third members of that committee. So we have a motion, we have a second. Any questions or discussion on that? Okay, Nicholas, if you want to take us through a vote on that, please.
Jean Brady,
Aye.
Joanne Harris,
Aye.
Josie Martinez,
Aye.
Andrea Sanchez Muniz is absent. Norma Montalvo,
Aye.
Fernanda Cardenas is absent. Jaspreet Kaur is absent. Marcy Yentz,
Aye.
Beth Graham,
Aye.
Judy Cruz, Paul Stahl.
Aye.
The motion passes.
Great. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Nicholas. So y'all will be reached out to by that committee as they do their work. Item number 18, receive the final report related to the assessment study on the future of the San Antonio Public Library and Friends of the San Antonio Public Library partnership, and take appropriate action. think in Jessica's absence, Ramiro is going to.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, first of all, I want to acknowledge Jessica for representing the library administration at the last Friends Board meeting, where there was a lively discussion about the final report and the study that was as a result of this initiative. And one of the things that she reported to me was that there appeared to be a lot of anxiety as it relates to the recommendations, a misconception that by accepting the report, all the recommendations would be implemented. So part of the motion that the staff is proposing for you today is to make clear the purpose of the report and how the recommendations will be viewed. John has alluded also to the lively conversation. I think it was a healthy conversation from the report that Jessica shared with me along with John and Nancy. It was a good idea for the board to postpone it, to provide additional time for the members of the Friends to have an opportunity not only to look at the report, but to provide feedback, and which they have done. So the motion today is to receive the final report related to the assessment study. Hold on. No. Accept the final report from M.G. Gomez Associates as a tool to guide the Friends of the San Antonio Public Library and the San Antonio Public Library's collective efforts to strengthen the partnership, with the explicit understanding the report's recommendations are to be explored and considered by both parties and not be implemented in total. So that's the staff's recommendation for today. I'm happy to respond to any questions.
I'll say that I like that. It's wordy, but it's wordy for a reason, and I think it clarifies what's happening here. Having been involved in neighborhood leadership positions in the past, things like this happen, and people are skeptical and they're afraid, and when things like this happen, they're like, yeah, something's going to get, this is my neighborhood experience. People say, yeah, something's going to get shoved down our throat, or the city's going to do this, or I recognize that. That's why I voted in favor of giving more time to give some context to this and to let those questions be brought out in a forum. So I like this. I like this motion, and thanks for giving that more information and context to that. Does anybody have any questions?
What is the purpose of us having to accept this? I mean,
part of it is to accept the report as a tool and to mark the conclusion of the initiative.
So do we have to do this for the city, though? I mean, because they're the one who...
Not necessarily. It's just a milestone as part of the project, the last milestone.
We hired the consultant to the city, hired the consultant to bring ideas and recommendations, and this is not to wholeheartedly and completely unilaterally accept all the recommendations. It's simply to have them as a guide.
Will there be like a follow-up? Was there anything discussed like a follow-up with both parties?
There is. We've already started working. We've had several meetings with the Friends leadership, primarily John, who's the president, and Nancy, who's the vice president. In fact, we met today. We made a lot of progress. As John reported, there's a strategic planning session. Part of the conversation will be the report. The Friends will be looking also at revisiting their mission and purpose. So there's a lot of work to be done. It's going to take some time, and we will provide reports appropriately to the board and keep the board informed in terms of in terms of updates and progress. How are we doing? It's going to take some time.
How's it progressing with the Friends is what I'd be interested in. Okay.
Is this vote necessary to authorize payment to the
No, it's under city regulations that the library director has authority up to $50,000, and we didn't spend more than that.
we can still have discussion, but,
I was wondering, Paul,
yes,
if
Jean.
we could have John report briefly on the meeting that was held with the Friends on that Sunday afternoon. What was the general consensus of the group that was there?
So John, Jean's asking if maybe you can kind of give us paint us another picture of kind of the group that was there and how the meeting went. I know I've already asked some questions. I
Right.
probably should have done that earlier. I apologize.
That's right.
But
It's hard to say there was a clear consensus. One of the largest takeaways from the discussion was that the membership is very passionate about their branches, and they really think that is like the key to their success, and so they're not inclined to restructure away from having branch chapters. Now, I think that I think there are things we can do to improve the structure, but I also understand their this passion that for so many of them, that's why they became a member of the Friends, is because their local library is their community, and they want to see their community, they want to help it grow and improve. So that was one of the main things. The other large concern that was voiced was the fundraising that the Friends has done on the branch level. The concern is, well, what's going to happen to the programs the Friends have funded? So many of them are like summer programs or ones involving guests and performers and things like that. So that was the other big concern they had. We talked about most of the different recommendations, and so they're in favor of a lot of them. In fact, one of them was to have a strategic planning session, and the board voted and approved upon doing that and hiring someone. So I think that once we have the strategic planning session, we will have a much clearer vision of how we can proceed forward with these different recommendations. And I think that both Ramiro and I agree that the recommendation is a starting point, and it will have to be really fine-tuned to our goals and our purpose, because that's the one thing I think we all realize is that doing this study, there is no such thing as best practices, because every library system and every Friends group is different. So we're going to have to take what we've been given in these recommendations and see how we can best apply them in our situation. Hopefully that helps, Jean.
yeah, it helped me. Typically, what we do with Robert's Rules of Order is we don't even discuss something unless everyone agrees that we ought to discuss it. So, and we normally would take a motion and a second just to discuss something. I'm just making sure y'all know I'm actually allowing it to go a little bit backwards here. But at any point, I'd be willing to accept a motion in a second, and we can continue to discuss.
I move that the board accept the report as outlined in the presentation made by the library director.
And with the motion, would your motion accept the language, the recommended language?
Yes.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second. We can continue to discuss. Are there any other questions on or discussion on the motion?
I wonder if any thought has been given to perhaps bringing in a consultant or an outside party to sort of help move the process along.
Where are you starting with this? Well, the Friends is starting with bringing in a facilitator to facilitate, and as we move along, we may find a need to bring additional help from outside. That's a possibility. But right now, it's a plan, not necessarily it. We know that there's work to be done, and whatever tools and resources we may need for both parties to make progress, we'll consider that.
Great, good question.
Yeah, I would say, Beth, in response to that, I think with the strategic planning session, we're going to have the Friends will have in September. That's going to really allow us to have that focus that we're going to need to see how we move forward in this. And I know that that's the one thing we've all tried to stress to everyone is that, as I say, this is not like flipping the light switch and it's going to happen overnight. This is going to involve a serious time investment because there's so many different parts that have to be considered and how when we make any type of changes like this, especially something that might be, radically changing the organizational structure. We've also, one of the things we discussed this morning in our meeting was we also need to start looking at revisiting our MOU between the Friends and the library. So it all takes time. And so, yes, I think that each step we're going to take is going to help us along that path.
Great. Any other questions or comments? Jean or Joanne? Hope y'all don't ever think that I'm excluding y'all. It's much easier when you're in front of me here. Sometimes people look behind me and I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't ask them.
No question.
Okay. Okay, well, if there's no further questions or discussions or comments, I'll go ahead and call the question and we'll have a roll call vote on the motion that we have. Nicholas, if you could take us through that, please.
Jean Brady,
Aye.
Joanne Harris,
Aye.
Josie Martinez,
Aye.
Andrea Sanchez Muniz is absent. Norma Montalvo,
Aye.
Fernetta Cardenas is absent. Jaspreet Kaur is absent. Marcy Ince,
Aye.
Beth Graham,
Aye.
Judy Cruz, Paul Stahl.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Great. Thank you, everyone. We'll move on to item number 19, which is to receive an update regarding the interlocal agreement with Bexar County for library services and consider taking appropriate action. And this is an item that we're going to
Executive
go
session.
into executive session. So I will read this off, which is the Board of Trustees of the San Antonio Public Library will begin its executive session pursuant to the Government Code Section 551.071, consultation with attorney, on this 26th day of July 2023 at 5:49 p.m. The Board of Trustees of the San Antonio Public Library has completed its executive session on the 26th day of July 2023 at 7:37 p.m. The Board of Trustees of the San Antonio Public Library will now resume its open session. No action was taken. So we are back. Jean and Joanne, you're with us, is that right?
Yes. Yes.
Great. And are we expecting anybody else? Okay. So we are at item number 19 on our agenda, which is receive an update regarding the interlocal agreement with Bexar County for library services and consider taking appropriate action. On that agenda item, do we have any motions?
I move that the San Antonio Public Library Board of Trustees endorse the draft interlocal agreement with Bexar County as presented in executive session and designate Library Board Chair Paul Stahl and Library Director Ramiro S. Salazar to represent the Library Board of Trustees in finalization of the interlocal agreement.
Thank you, Beth. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Judy. Any discussion or questions on the motion? I think it's pretty clear. No discussions, questions? Okay. Edward, are you going to take us through a roll call vote?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Could you please take us through a roll call vote? We have a motion, we have a second. There's no further discussion on the item?
Yes, sir. Gene Brady?
Based on the previous years of my dealing with this contract, I must abstain.
Okay.
Joanne Harris?
Yay.
Josie Martinez?
Aye.
Andrea Sanchez Muñiz is absent. Norma Montalvo?
Aye.
Fernanda Cardenas is absent. Jaspreet Kaur is absent. Marcy Ince?
Aye.
Beth Graham?
Aye.
Judy Cruz?
Aye.
Paul Stahl?
Aye.
The motion passes.
Great. Thank you very much, Edward. That concludes all of our agenda items. Correct? Correct?
Is it okay to share the dates for the town hall meetings with the public?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Very good. I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
I so move.
And we don't have to vote on it. All right, we're now adjourned. Thank y'all.